Hello guys, this is Elite Traders. I have started taking interest in the back end of India's defense industry, which is the manufacturing part. It is not so shiny and glowing, but it is the backbone. The first company I explored was CUMI. I have posted a video in collaboration with them. Link is in the description to check them out. The capabilities of CUMI is so impressive that I wanted to have a chat with one of their representatives to understand their vision, problem and backend story. Watch this interview and enjoy. Have some questions prepared for you. Hopefully you have been shared that. So you talked about that you are trying to work with a lot of defense companies, all the brands which you have mentioned. I will not mention the brands. Can you share some specific examples of partnership or a collaboration that have helped CUMI strengthen its position with the defense industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing is that a lot of the OEMs or end users of our products have been developing a lot of strong technology at their end as well. So they're very well versed with what the requirement is and what we can do to support them. And we come in from a manufacturing angle and a technical angle where we can go work with them to develop a very, very strong product. So just taking a step back, what we do at CUMI is predominantly material science. We use material science to create world-class products, and we've been doing that for the last 2-3 years in the defense sector as well.
Right.
We use different grades of materials to develop products like ceramic armor, CFRP sheets and tubes for drones. The armor products that we create goes into bulletproof jackets. It goes into even vehicle armor today, which is being lined with ceramics. So we use materials, the strength of the properties of different materials, manufacture them then in a certain way, and then we work with end users or even OEMs to sort of, align with what their end requirements are, and then project that into some of their products. So all of what we do in CUMI is on the defense side. We are not into the offense
Right.
the industry at all. We are working purely on the protection. So everything we do is designed to defend the end user, whether it's a vehicle or whether it's the soldier in the front line. Our entire narrative or objective is to make sure that that person is protected to the best of our abilities. So that's where we come in. And going back to your question on partnership, there are two things that we do. One is that we actually talk to end users and we understand what are some of the issues that they face in the front line. So for a soldier, one of the main problems, not today, but generally, is the amount of weight they carry. With
Right.
their ammunition, the gear, the bulletproof vests that protect them. Weight is a huge factor into that.
Yes.
And what also adds a lot of the weight is actually the bulletproofing that goes into their jackets. So the material that's being used as of today, we are looking to make it a little more lightweight in nature, make it easier to access, make it more aerodynamic for them to actually function in the battlefield. Those sort of things are what we're working with the end user to actually figure out how we can make it easier, lighter, and more protective in nature. That is more in the front end of things. At the
Right.
back end, we also work with a lot of institutions like, say, IIT, for example, that works on the material front to say, how can we make our material stronger and more lightweight in nature for the end user itself? So, when we work with them, we work on the material properties, we do a lot of testing, we see how these materials can withstand a lot of impact. Ballistic protection is what we are sort of really aiming to improve in the front line, and making that ballistic protection also lightweight in nature is really the core of our business today. And when we sort of look at the back end and the front end, where we're working with the people actually making change, we as a manufacturer can really impact change in a large way. So I think that's where we collaborate with different end users, but also people at the back end, where we can work on the technology, work on the product and the material itself. And there are integrators. So there are people who
Right.
are talking about how we can, what are the newer aspects of protection that we can get into. So for vehicle armor, for example, the hull is a big aspect of what gets protected.
Yes.
Yeah, how can we make that easy to sort of also lay out onto the vehicle? So how does it make it for the end user to actually lay it up onto the vehicle, to actually attach it to the vehicle.
Right.
These sort of small things actually, end up taking a lot more time, and that's what we
Yes.
need to make sure that we make it easy for them. And then also looking at the aesthetics of the product, making it more feasible for people to sort of sustain and use over the years. That's something we're also looking at working on. So, we've done a lot of work around this for the last sort of 2-3 years, where we've worked on the product at the front end and back end. And
Right.
we've been able to, again, because of that, been able to withstand a few different threat levels, and we're moving up the ladder as well as we speak. So those are some of the collaborations with the education institutions we've done, with the OEMs that we've done, but also with the end users we were planning to do.
That's amazing. So if I just summarize that, you are basically doing an end-to-end fulfillment of a back-end product, and which is a base of any armored product here, right? Including material science to making sure that it is compatible with the end user, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So exactly. So our entire focus is on the actual plate of armor that gets integrated into a vehicle or into a bulletproof jacket, and making that more stronger, more lighter in nature. That's really the core of our business, and we do not want to focus on the forward integration of making the jacket or getting into production of all of that. That is not our business. Our business is purely on the material and making sure that that material is stronger, better, and lighter for the end user in whichever end application it might be.
Right. And there comes my following up question: that what is the maximum level of protection a personal armor which is using CUMI's ceramic plates, right? And what is the maximum level of armor protection it can offer?
Yeah, so it's a great question. What in CUMI we have been able to do is use our library of materials, as I like to call it, to sort of withstand different threat levels. So the ladder as of today is we use alumina as the base material, which can probably withstand up to sort of say Stanag level 2 to a certain extent. Then over and above that, we have zirconia toughened alumina, which again has very strong properties but lighter in nature than alumina. So it helps reduce the weight restrictions to a certain level. Over and above that, which is sort of the product we're really studying and building on now, is reaction bonded silicon carbide. So that's something that we've seen has very strong properties. We've taken that product all the way up to Stanag level 4 for vehicle armor. It's going for bulletproof jackets is up to NIJ level 4. That threat level we've been able to achieve. And because of the nature of the product, it's also quite lightweight, and it's able to withstand a lot of impact and ballistic impact. The material that we are also working on over and above that is boron carbide, and that's a very, very strong material. Extremely lightweight in nature, and that's sort of the product that really stands out even with the end users today because of the ability to take a lot of impact load on it. Now that comes at a much higher cost as well, so that's where we play with this library of materials to say, depending on what the end user needs, we can actually design different products at different threat levels. So we've been able to go all the way up to Stanag level 4. For vehicle armor, and 5 and 6 is also coming into testing now. We've done a lot of work there, but obviously that's a work in progress for us. And I think even in India today, people, end users are getting to that threat level, but it will come soon. So I think when it does come into fruition, we will be ready with some of our products and solutions. And with bulletproof jackets as well, it's going up, and I think we are being able to design lighter and more protective, ceramics for that purpose.
And as you said that in bulletproof jackets you have achieved NIJ level 4, right? And can I know what is the weight of the ceramic plate in that category?
So it really depends on what. Really depends on the end users or the end customers of what they want. So our plates go all the way from thickness of 6 mm all the way up to 14, 15 mm, depending on what the end users want. So the weight can really it can really vary depending on what end users are and the requirements are. It depends on the thickness, the amount of material that's into it, if there is a compound of the material. So sometimes now we're even working on not just pure silicon carbide into the plates, but also silicon carbide with boron carbide, because that it reduces the cost for them, but it
Yeah,
improves the threat level as well. So there's a lot of combinations, but it purely depends on the design of the plates and what the end users want. So
understood.
and we are trying to make that as light as possible, but keeping in mind that the
Understood.
backwards.
Yes. The production should not get compromised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
I mean, the protection is the number one key, and then after that, obviously, weight and so on is something
Yeah.
that we're working on and comes after that. But we will never compromise on the ability to make sure that it's protecting the end user.
Understood. And if I may know that, what are the current products being utilized in Indian defense who have the backing or the back product of CUMI in them? Can you name some of the products?
Yeah, so for example, now a product that is being used quite regularly for vehicle armor is the action bonded silicon carbide ceramic packed with rubberized plates. So is rubberization is the backed up material, so rubbers, and then that is sort of looked at being implemented onto the vehicles to different mechanisms depending on what customers want. But rubberization is becoming a very strong forward integration of the ceramic plates that we've seen in vehicle armor. And with there are other properties like glass and so on that people are using outside of India. And there are certain customers in India itself that are been looking at using that depending on what the vehicles are and so on.
Right.
But the great thing about India is also the ecosystem that we have around us. So if me being a pure ceramic manufacturer, we have capabilities internally like rubberization and so on. But if there were certain backed up materials like glass and certain other things that people wanted, there are enough companies that are doing that sort of work as well, where they do the integration, they do the backing for us as well. So the ecosystem around in India today is fairly phenomenal, and it's grown to an extent where you can find people to really help you with a lot of these end solutions depending on what the end vehicle is as well. So I think rubberized ceramics is something that's been particularly doing well, and I think that along with a certain amount of PU coating and painting, it really turns out aesthetically quite well as well. And we've seen that work relatively well for us for end users.
Right. And is there any weapon platform currently who is utilizing CUMI's armor?
So I don't think we can probably name a lot of our partners and so on. But like I said, we are more in terms of working on the defensive side rather than the offensive side.
Understood.
So we don't really have too many products that go into the offensive part of sort of the business or the industry itself.
Right.
So a lot of our materials, say for example, since we're a material science company, we also deal with a lot of graphene. Graphene is sort of the wonder material that's been for the last 2 decades spoken about, and it's been something that people talk about a lot. But we've been able to use it, in elements like clothing, into even tires that are being used in the defense to make it a lot more wear resistant and make it a lot more stronger in nature. So I think we really focus on the element of defense, and I think that we've seen a lot of our customers using our products. But yeah, which particular customer and so on, I think that as per the requirements we deal with, so we probably are not in full liberty to talk about a lot of the end solutions.
No problem. That's totally fine. My next question would be, what is the CUMI's plan for India's defense in future? Like, what are you guys planning for? Are you guys will stay in the armor industry, like the back end of the products, or you guys will move, or you can roll out your own products in the market as a sole weapon platforms or defensive platforms, as you can say? Riot shields are there, armored vehicles are there. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think what we are focusing on right now objectively is that since we are a material science company, our core focus is going to be on material solutions that we can create for the end users. And actually, it doesn't only end at armor. So today, we even make CFRP sheets and tubes for drones. We are even making refractory materials for rocket launch pads. Again, the base material is things like alumina and silicon carbide, where we can use that base material and forward integrate that into different end solutions for the defense sector. So we are able to use these materials because of their properties into different products that the defense or armed forces require. So ceramics is one, CFRP sheets and tubes is one. We're also, like I said, looking at refractory materials, which is another aspect of it. Beyond of that, we also look at advanced ceramics. So, for example, in spaceships and rockets and so on, they use ceramic fasteners. Now, that's because they needs to withstand a lot of heat when it's being launched up. So, ceramic fasteners is something we've already started producing and have been supplying to various suppliers as of today. So, our entire focus is on the material itself and making sure that the material can be used for defense purposes because of its
Yeah.
properties. So our focus is going to be on improving the material, making sure it's stronger in nature, more lightweight in nature for the defense forces. So that's really the core of what we want to do. And also in the future, improve our library of materials. So today,
Yes.
there are certain materials that I spoke about, but we are also in the works of developing newer material or new age material that can really help improve a lot of the requirements that the armed forces need today. So when they say they need to make it lightweight, so how can we make
Yeah.
it so lightweight in nature for them that they are easily able to move in the battlefield? Or can we make it a lot more protective in nature from making shields like you spoke about or helmets like
Yeah.
you spoke about? But again, not making the end product itself, but making the material that is in the product. And the reason I say that is, as a company, our focus is on the materials. Forward integration to making the bulletproof jackets, all the vehicles, all the shields, all the helmets is really not our core focus. I think that there
Right.
are many companies that are doing that really well, and we love to work with them and have been working with them. Our core focus is purely on the materials. We want to make sure that we are global leaders in material science and making sure that our library of materials keep improving, and our focus is on that. Because when we the ability to forward integrate can or cannot be there for any manufacturer
Understood.
such as ours. But our focus, if it's on the materials, it can really help us improve the quality of materials moving forward, and we produce in India itself. Also, the interesting thing is that our backward integration is entirely owned by us. So when I
Right.
spoke about a lot of these materials, it completely comes from our own plants in Kerala. So we produce all of these materials in-house. We do not source anything from other countries. So we are truly a make in India product, and we will always stay that way. So the bulletproof jackets that are owning our ceramics today are purely all made in India, 100%.
Right.
The material
Right.
comes from our plants. We process the material in our other factory in Hosur, and then it's supplied to the end user. So I think this entire value chain that we have created is going to be our focus. Newer materials, improving our current materials is our focus, with keeping in mind what really the end users want. And I think based on that, we are working on different solutions moving forward. And I think looking at acquisitions and mergers and
Right.
all of those things also with helping us that are really building solutions for us. We started working a few years ago with a company called Plus Technology, which
Mhm.
also deals with phase change material. It's a
Okay.
technology that's come into existence over the last decade or so. But again, the base material, like I said, is the same. It's alumina. But then
Right.
this phase change material can help with various amount of energy solutions in the armed forces as well. So phase change material is nothing but your ice boxes. If you look at,
Oh yeah.
if you keep something in it, it keeps it cool for a couple of hours. But this is
Right.
almost at an industry level purpose where it can go up to 7 to 8 hours of just cooling or heating to that reason. So in
Understood.
defense, if you look at it, we've started talking to people in the army itself about how food can be used for
Yes. Yes.
travel
Yes.
also, right? So they don't need um, vehicles that are using refrigerators that use and fuel. So phase change material can actually be used in these vehicles where food is transported and be kept cool or hot in certain different temperatures. So absolutely no energy being used there, except charging these phase change products itself.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Again, blood can be transported in long distances without being used in certain containers. So
Right.
all these things can be thought about. But again, we only can do that if our focus is on the materials and working on that. And this is a
Absolutely.
great example of how we've actually taken material science and made that a lot broader and got in depth into that. And I think that's what our future plans also will be.
Absolutely, that is one great insight, and looking forward for that. That would be my last question to you, and you can choose not to answer it. Right, this can go off the record. Like, this is one thing which has come out of our discussion, and I really wanted to ask you that suppose if you want to change one thing to grow Indian defense industry development, right? What would be that thing to increase the pace of research and development?
Great question. I think just today we are at a great phase or a great stage where the government is working really hand in hand with private entities like ourselves to develop new products for the end users or customers, it might be, and also working with educational institutions. So
Right.
we've been working with different colleges to work on material science. We've been working with how to make our materials stronger or how to improve the quality of certain of our base materials and so on, and getting students to also learn about what we do. So I think there currently the government has created a superb ecosystem around defense, and
Right.
the defense corridors that have also come up are just sort of a catalyst for this entire thing, where smaller suppliers are coming up, and I think a lot of newer companies and startups are also coming up in the defense space. You look at the number of drone manufacturers today that are doing some phenomenal work in
Yes.
that sort of area, and I think you'll know that better than all of us. I think if I was to look at one aspect of it, is to really maybe think about two areas. One is on the education front, where can we actually get younger people to dedicate a lot more time and energy to impact our defense products.
Right.
Today a lot of good courses are going out in educational institutions. So, for example, there are tons of colleges that have material science programs. But can we dedicate a lot of the syllabus towards actually creating products for the armed forces today? Could be a very, very interesting way of creating not only newer products, better products for the future, but also create a very strong pipeline of young people coming into this sector. So today, if you look at it, a lot of this sector has people who have tremendous experience for 2-3 decades or even more that have built the business for us. But what's next? How do younger people start getting into this in a very, very productive way? So how do we get colleges or institutions to really impact the quality of product that goes out for the for the armed forces or the defense and aerospace, if you may call it. So how do we really create that bridge? So today, people might do projects, they might be a strong pipeline with, say, certain companies, but how do we create a very strong bridge from educational institutions to private or public sector for the defense sector? So I think that's one really interesting area that we could maybe think about. We are trying to do this in a formal basis with certain educational institutions, but I think I would love to see that a lot more, because younger people have some great ideas. They have some very, very strong thoughts in terms of how this can, how a lot of our products that are being used today can either improve or even new products can come into existence. So I would really love to see that one, area explode a little bit more. I don't know if maybe other countries might have that. I've not really seen it much, but core modules that are focusing on improving some of the areas of our defense sector. I think that could be a very strong aspect of things.
Understood. So education is the key to unlock a lot of new potential.
Absolutely.
Right? And involvement of academic institutions with the industry. So collaboration of academic institution with the industry, as you guys are also doing with some IITs, right?
Yeah. So we've done some work in the past. We've just started doing some work with IIT Delhi in terms of looking at our materials and saying how can we make it a lot more lighter in nature, and what newer material we can bring into the mix. So a lot of that stuff we are doing.
Was it fruitful? Think the lot there can, if nurtured well, can help you guys develop some crazy technologies?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so powerful, and I think that's where I think it's an area of what we can do as a country as well, because two things happen for us, and it's right now, if I was to say that work is going on with them at the moment. So two things happen. One is that our products see a new sort of shape and form. they can be improved in certain ways, and that comes in because there's a lot more insights coming from experts in the educational field as well, who are dealing with material science in a very different way than we are dealing with material science. So the products get impacted very positively. And the second thing that happens is it also creates a very strong pipeline of talent coming into certain companies like ourselves. So something that CUMI sees is that a lot of the students that are doing these projects, can we actually absorb them in the future to actually work on these projects with the armed forces eventually itself, or with the government itself. Now, this gives him the practical ability to actually take his talent and then input it and use us as manufacturers to really express how those products can be used and created. So the pipeline of young talent is also being absorbed because of these projects. So, today we've been working with a lot of students, even in Coimbatore. There's certain colleges that we've been working with where they're doing a project on lightweighting for us, and our end result is also going to be a few students that are going to get up a full-time placement with us as well. So that gives us a strong pipeline, and those guys are going to be doing a lot of this work moving forward with the army and so on. So I think that's a very strong association that we're trying to build and would like to build more. And it's a huge opportunity for the country because the educational institution does some really, really strong work. It's just about sort of formulating that, giving it the right space and channel, and then leveraging the strength. If we do that very effectively, it's a win-win for everybody. And I think that ecosystem just gets better. Because what the government has done today is that it's made it so proactive in nature to do a lot of business with them, make it a lot more open, information, freedom, access. A lot of these things have changed. And because of that, we've been the private sector has been able to do a lot of good work. But also what's there is that making sure that it grows and it keeps being positive in nature from a talent standpoint. And I think that talent should never, it should never die. It should keep coming. And I think this can be a very strong mechanism to build that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the insight. And I hope our conversation will give the audience a good insight of what CUMI does and how visionary the leadership is, right? And how you guys want to integrate civilian and military things together to produce a good product fit. That's amazing. Thank you. So, Subbu, this ends our formal communication.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And I think to Elite Predators as well, we've seen a lot of your content and really enjoy a lot of your work and how you've really helped sort of this industry, build a lot of its products, but also a lot of its interesting stories around it. And I think the storylines that you guys have been talking about is very, very interesting for the public to also read about and see. So I think, just keep up the good work, and we look forward to kind of talking to you a lot.
Thank you. And we are looking forward to discuss another time the products of CUMI. I have some products listed out. If you can take half an hour from your busy schedule, I would love to have your insight on the product so that the audience can understand things very in a detailed manner. Thank you for being so detailed, so passionate with my questioning, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, anytime. We'd love to have you over at our factories or offices.
Absolutely. Now it's a must thing to do.
Looking forward to talking to you again. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Subbu. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for connecting. Thank you. Bye-bye.